All right, welcome back to Inside College Basketball Now with John Rothstein. Pleased to be joined by Hall of Famer, 5-time national champion, and 3-time Olympic gold medalist, Mike Krzyzewski. Coach, welcome.
Thank
Tell
you.
us about post-retirement life. What have you been up to?
Well, I'm busy. I still work at Duke. I have my same office staff, and it's kind of an ambassador for the school. I get involved in a lot of things. I speak for the Washington Speakers Bureau all over the country, and the last 2.5 years, I'm a special advisor to Adam Silver in the NBA. So I'm at all their meetings, all the Zooms, and then I'm also a professor of leadership at our Fuqua School of Business, and where I lecture. I've been involved with them for over 20 years, and then we have 10 grandkids who all live within 10 minutes of us.
Right.
And we have our nonprofit in Durham, the Emily Krzyzewski Center, that services about 2,000 kids. So all good stuff, and try to be there if Jon Scheyer needs me. And he doesn't need me that often, but every once in a while he does, because he's done a great job.
Well, that is a long list of things to keep you busy. And obviously, people can say, well, you're retired from coaching, but it doesn't sound like you're retired because you have so many things going on. But I'm curious, your entire life you spent as a coach. Now that you're a few years removed, are there any things you miss about coaching and being a part of a team?
I don't miss coaching at all. If I made sure when I retired, I was 75, so come on, man. That's a good run. I'm 78. I want to hit a few more of those numbers. And I think maybe the only thing is the personal relationship you would have with a young man and his development. Being with young people, and even when I was with the U.S. team for 11 years, they're younger than me, and it keeps you young. And I was blessed my whole life to be a teacher and a coach, and so that interaction with an individual player, and not just the development of a basketball player, but who they're becoming as men. And we've had some good guys play here, and Jon Scheyer's doing the same thing with the guys he has. So I think that's been a trademark of our program. We not only have really good players, we have really good guys.
What is the experience like for you to watch a Duke game?
Well, it depends where I'm watching it. I don't go to as many games. One, I don't want to be a distraction.
Right.
But also, if you're in Cameron, there are no boxes.
Right.
Where you're courtside, and people are, what's his reaction going to be, or
right.
You got phones, and so I'm more of a sphinx, like a so I enjoy that, but I don't enjoy not being able to show emotion in that. When I'm home, I show a lot more. I yell at officials more. I put out it's something I've never did. So actually not yelling, I'm giving them encouragement. It's just a humane thing to do. But I love watching. I think obviously the college game is no longer the college game, but the product is outstanding. The teams, we now live in. It's professional, for basketball and football, and that the whole thing needs to have a new model and be defined as such, especially with the influx of international pros, which there are so many, a couple G League players, which I don't think that's a bad thing if you're going to let international pros come in. And why aren't we saying that they're pros? They are, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just come up with a new way of doing this, for crying out loud. And the reason we haven't is because there's really a lack of leadership. The NCAA has never really given the structure for college basketball. College football has gone outside of the NCAA to provide outstanding culture. College
Right.
football, the CFP has done it really well, and they will be the leader, and they are the leader in what's going to happen with college sports.
Well, you referenced obviously the climate right now that exists in college basketball. And while the on-court product has been outstanding, there's nothing but volatility off the court. What do you think are the best ways to stabilize the sport moving forward?
Yeah, well, who runs it? I went to the United States Military Academy, was an Army officer, and they taught you a number of things. One of them is pinpoint responsibility. And so, like, this is your show, right?
Yeah.
You're responsible for this show. If there's something
Yeah.
wrong with it, good with it, whatever, I'm going to talk to you about it.
Right.
Who do you talk to when you're discussing what to do in college basketball? Really? Who? All right, come on. Let me know, because I don't know.
Yeah.
And it starts right there. Now, college football has leadership, and it should morph into leadership. The Power Four conferences, in basketball, along with the Big East, and that doesn't mean you're not bringing anybody else in, but need to form a coalition. Whatever, you need to have a commissioner. You need to run it like a business, and because it is a business. People are getting paid a lot of money, and they deserve that. But let's now run it like a business. And there are many more haves and now than have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
The difference. There are over 360 Division I programs, but there are not three-digit number of teams that are in the have spot.
Right.
Because of money. The bankrolls, the payrolls of top programs are well over $10 million, and a lot of schools, they can't do that. And so it's going to keep going like that. And then what do we do with that new dynamic?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to play out. You referenced the Power Four conferences. One of those conferences is obviously the conference you coached in for your career at Duke, and that's the ACC. And you said something really interesting last season, because the ACC has struggled compared to the past in recent years in terms of its NCAA tournament representation. And you brought up the idea about the ACC potentially merging with the Big East moving forward. Why do you think that's so imperative for the health of both conferences?
Well, I just think it's something to look at. I think people would be naive to think that 5 years from now, all the conferences are going to look the same. Right. I don't think that that's going to happen. And so, we could, I don't have intel about that. I just know that once certain things move along time-wise, it becomes less expensive to move.
Right.
And so the ACC is a heck of a conference. Football-wise, it may not be in the top three. If it is, it's the third. But the Big 12 is pretty damn good too. And so why don't you just do something unbelievable with basketball? Mm-hmm. And again, whatever that would mean, maybe be a step ahead, but also it would give an opportunity for Connecticut, who's going to play football. I mean, Connecticut they have a good program, but they would love to be in a conference that has all of its teams be football programs too.
Right.
And it would be an amazing conference. uh, and it would take over. Like the ACC has a good footprint, but adding that, to where it goes into the Midwest, and you would really be the Atlantic Coast Conference uh, with that. But probably that'll never happen. But why the hell not talk about it? And maybe some other interesting things develop as a result. You don't come up with a good idea by just having one idea.
Right.
You come up with like a really good idea by looking at a lot of ideas, but at least opening up your mind to something different.
You referenced Connecticut, who obviously has had a great basketball program, but you have such a deep tie to the Hurley family because obviously
Yeah.
Bobby Hurley played for you and was, pound for pound, probably the best point guard in the history of college basketball. And Danny at that time was thought of as the other brother, and he has now morphed into, the
It's
elite
pretty good.
coach in the game. What has it been like for you to watch Danny, who, when you were recruiting his brother, was not thought of as obviously the elite player, to now become one of the elite coaches?
Well, I keep up a really good communication with the Hurley family. The parents, obviously Bobby, but Danny too. I mean, when Danny and Bobby got together at Wagner,
Yeah.
I mean, I Danny and I are good friends. I mean, even you know when he was at Rhode Island, uh, I mentioned to him. I said, nothing against Rhode Island, but you're ready for something bigger. And since he's been at Connecticut, we stayed. We're not talking every month, but we
Right.
talk a couple times during the year. And Danny's a good friend. Obviously, he's done a magnificent job there and maintained the high level that Jim Calhoun built.
Yeah.
Jim really was one of the great coaches, but maybe the best architect in building a program, as good as anybody. And to see that continue is really good for the game, just like our program continuing. Uh, and that doesn't mean others can't, but when you sustain excellence, uh, and it's not necessarily the same coach, but the same program along the way, that says a lot. That says a lot for the culture that's embedded there, which is a really good one.
Yeah, and you obviously, with Bobby Hurley as your point guard, won back-to-back national championships in 91 and 92. And I remember one of the first times, you and I spoke in a setting like this, which was now, believe it or not, almost 20 years ago. I asked you about the requisites that went into, winning another national title in that respective season that I was talking to you. But you said the most important thing is always making the NCAA tournament, because you have
Right.
to make the NCAA tournament first. And that's a badge of honor for any program because it gives you a chance to hopefully play for a national title. And it feels like if the NCAA tournament were to add more teams, maybe making the NCAA tournament would not be as obviously big of an accomplishment, because it feels like more and more teams would go to March Madness. When you hear about the idea about expanding the number of teams for the NCAA tournament, what emotions does it evoke?
Well, I think you should stay the same in what you're doing right now, because you don't know the future. You don't know how many teams will be worthy of making the NCAA tournament. It's kind of like if you add teams, it's like building a house and putting a lot of rooms in it, like you're going to have a lot of kids. And then you find out we're not having that many kids. And I don't know if that makes sense, but uh, this would be to change the tournament now when you really do not know the state of college sports. I think is really not very smart. Uh, let's get everything where it's governed, and where it's ruled, and let's take a look at the game. I mean, the men's college game is the outlier in the world.
Yep.
Uh, we still have halves. We still have a 1-and-1.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one. We should have quarters. We should, the college game should mirror the NBA. Uh, uh, Not necessarily the defensive 3 seconds or whatever, but uh, because that's where all the kids want to go.
Yeah.
And if they didn't go there, they'd go to Europe
Mm-hmm.
or China. Okay, and if they did that, they would play a similar game. And so we should play the same game. And the kids growing up in the United States should play the same game. They should have shot clocks. They should, you know, our game is really played so much differently in different parts of the country at the development stages. And but again, college basketball, the NBA and college basketball should be an alliance in a number of things. And I believe that the NCAA college basketball could grow in a proper way, in a great way, if it mirrored some of the things that the NBA does structurally. I worked for the NBA now for over 2.5 years. I'm at all their meetings. Well, I can tell you that our meetings are a hell of a lot better than any college meeting I was at. And the main thing, John, is because the people at the meeting are representative of every entity. The competition committee has players, coaches, officials, owners, players union. And so when you discuss, and they're all people who are actually in the game.
Right.
College basketball, you go to a committee and there aren't coaches there that make decisions. I mean, I bring back a lot of 47 years of frustration being a college coach and trying to change that. And I tried like crazy with my brothers, other coaches, and we were never in the room where it happened.
Yeah.
My very first NBA meeting, anyway, there was some good discussion, and Adam asked me something, and we actually took some action on it. And I called my wife that night. I said, Nikki, I was in the room where it happened.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, we can have the NABC, and Craig Robinson does a good job with that, but what are we doing? What are we doing? And the problem is that the NCAA tournament is owned by the NCAA,
right,
who does not run it like a business. College football is run like a business, and it is, by the way. It's $1 billion business.
Yeah. Well, these are all things going back to leadership, which you learned obviously at West Point, and you are going to be returning to West Point on Tuesday. And, the two places that had such a big part of your life, Army and Duke, are going to be playing. The game will be 7:00 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. What are the emotions knowing that you're going back to West Point and you're going to see Duke play Army in that setting?
Well, it'll be a 2-day event because I'll go up. Actually, I appreciate Jon Scheyer and Kevin Kuick putting together the game, and then allowing me to come with them. And I think for our Duke team to see the academy.
Sure.
And it'll be, it's one of the great places on earth. And on Veterans Day to play Army. And then I'll have a bunch of things going on up there, good stuff. I'll meet with some of the cadets and watch the game, obviously. But a number of my West Point players, I was a West Point coach for 5 years, are going to be up there, and we're going to have a little get together the afternoon of the game. And the superintendent, the dean, they're all good friends because I keep up a really close relationship with West Point. They're going to make it an event, and it'll be emotional because how lucky have I been to be at West Point and Duke? And for 11 years to coach the U.S. team. No one's been luckier. I really believe that. I'm not just saying it. And so it'll be a good emotion, a really good emotion.
And, you also were able to pass the torch to a guy in Jon Scheyer who not only played for you, but was an All-American and a national championship level point guard. How does Jon Scheyer, the coach, compare to Jon Scheyer, the player?
Very similar. Basketball wise, Jon is as good as anybody coaching, I think, and is only going to get better. When I saw him in high school, I said, this kid has such a feel for the game.
Yeah.
Like he has to follow his instincts, and when he was our point guard, he made plays that he saw that I wouldn't see. And I think he's carried that over very well into what he's done. Starting his 4th season now, he's done a terrific job, and it's not surprising to me. And he's a good guy, so he's gonna work. He played for 4 years for me, thank goodness, and then worked with me for 8 years. 4 as my associate head coach. So he knows Duke, he knows our program, and he definitely knows basketball.
One of the things that I found very interesting about covering you is you always, whether it was a great win or whether it was a very tough loss, you tried to remain the same at times in terms of the way you dealt with the other team. I remember when you won a national title in 2015 against Wisconsin, you embraced your staff when the buzzer went off, but you went over then to greet Bo Ryan. And I remember when you had a tough loss to Mercer in 2014, you went into the locker room after and congratulated them on the win. And that's part of dealing with the highs and lows of coaching. So I'm curious, when Jon went through the loss to Houston in the Final Four, what did you tell him the first time you guys spoke afterwards?
Well, we had a long meeting when they got back, and your show's not long enough to talk about all that we talked about. I just let him talk, and part of what makes this job so great, being a college basketball coach, especially if you get to that level, is that you have the honor of being in the arena.
Yes.
But so is the other guy. It's an honor for him and his team to be in that arena, and only one team's going to win. But you should respect the people in the arena. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you don't respect spectators, but not like you should respect an opponent. And the game is bigger than you, right, than me, than anybody. And so whatever the outcome is, handle it right. Handle it right, because that's that team's moment, mm-hmm, and that's that guy's moment. Like when you said, when we lost to Mercer, they had a hell of a coach, and maybe that's one of the best wins, or it could be the best win they ever had. Okay. The fact that it was us, that's an honor.
Right.
It's an honor. I know it hurt like hell to get eliminated right away.
Yeah.
That's how much someone thought of you in playing for against you. And just like when a young man does a special thing against you, to acknowledge that, and so I've tried to do that my whole career, and no one wins all the time.
Yeah. No, I know that. And obviously throughout your career, you coached so many great players at Duke, and Duke has, again, another special player this year in Cameron Boozer. Just curious, your early impressions of this year's rendition of Duke.
Good. It's different than last year, which it should be. And, but I think we're going to be really good. Cam is our best player, and he's way ahead of his age. and he has the body of a man. As big as he is, he has great feet, and great feet, not good feet. And he understands the game. He's really an intelligent player, but he can be a very physical player. I think I haven't seen the players yet that are playing in college basketball. I've seen a couple. I would have to say he's got to be as unique as anyone, and we'll see if he's better than everyone. But he's right there. He's going to be right there, and he rebounds like crazy.
Yeah.
He's a double guy, and he can really pass too. So don't be shocked when you see that first triple-double.
Yeah. Let's wrap on this, Coach. And in doing this now for as long as I have, about 20 years, I'm always fascinated at how coaches always seem to remember the tough losses more than the great wins. So I'm curious, and it's tough to ask somebody this who has won 5 national championships, but other than winning those 5 national title games, give me one win in your career that always seems to resonate, and give me one tough loss, and it couldn't come in the national title game.
Yeah, well, to me, I've been fortunate to coach the U.S. teams.
Yeah.
So the one win would be an Olympic gold medal because it's the world. And as a result, also the toughest loss for me would be the first loss I had at U.S. when we lost to Greece in Tokyo in 2006 in a world championship. And that's the high and the low. If in college, if I could change one thing in my career, it would be for my 86 team to have won. They were 37-2 as freshmen. Yeah. They were 11-17, and they were really the foundation. And we mirrored doing them over and over again. And we lost to a great Louisville team by 3 points. And that would be the team if I could change one thing. I wouldn't say I'm going to trade because my other teams would get mad at me. But, I'd like to. That's the one. That's the one. But that's part of it, And the relationships that we have with that '86 team are. I mean, those guys are old now. They're 60.
Yeah.
How did they get that old?
Yeah. Amaker, Billis, Dawkins, all those guys. And I know that you won twice in 3 years, buzzer beaters to go to the Final Four, thanks to Christian Laettner. But I'm curious, was the Vegas win in '91 the defining win for you because you hadn't won a title yet in a game that didn't come in the title game?
Well, that game is an epic game.
Yep.
And, they had won 45 in a row and beaten us by 30 the year before the championship. We didn't have Grant Hill then. Yeah. And to me, it's one of as good a game as I've ever been a part of in college. And and you had so many great players.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel that they think of that being the national championship game.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a heck of a thing to get over that game in order to get ready for Kansas. And then we were fortunate to beat Kansas for our first national championship. But that game, you're right on. It's as big a game, as big a win as our program had, and other than the national championship game.
Yeah. Well, Coach, really appreciate your time as always. Great to catch up with you. And again, a reminder, Mike Krzyzewski will be courtside Tuesday night, 7:00 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Duke against Army. Your world's obviously all coming together. Coach, great to visit with you. Look forward to seeing you at West Point on Tuesday. And again, thanks for everything as always.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You got it. That is Mike Krzyzewski. I'm Jon Rothstein, and this is Inside College Basketball Now.